Hi everyone, this is Whitney, and this is part 2 of my series on how I'm making my neoprene mermaid tail. And in this video I'm going to be showing you how I sewed everything together to make my tail. So in my previous video you saw me make the pattern and trace it onto the fabric for my tail. Here I've cut out the pattern. I've left a lot of room on the sides of the pattern so that I can adjust it as I go if I need to add more space or take some out. I've also made a pattern for a top based on one of my sports bras that I'm going to be sewing also. So here I've pinned the two pieces of fabric together. I've pinned them with the white sides together and the black side out because this is the side you want to sew on. So when you turn it inside out, you don't see the seam as much. And so I've used large safety pins to pin it together because the straight pins weren't holding. And the safety pins are going to allow me to work more with it and try it on before I sew it. You'll see later that this didn't really work and I had to adjust it a lot before I sewed it. But this is just to show you what you can do just in case you want to make one yourself. So like I said, unfortunately the original pattern didn't really work out. It was really well fitting from my ankles to my knees, but then above my knees to my waist it was way too small. So I had to shift the whole pattern up because I didn't allow for very much seam allowance above my knees because the way I had to cut out the pattern. So basically what I did was I laid inside the fabric and I had someone pin the fabric around me to make a new pattern, and this ended up working a lot better. So this is me screwing everything up so that you guys can do a lot better when you make your own. So here is a picture of me with the fabric pinned around me to make the new pattern. So my grandma was helping me and she was adjusting the pins to let them out or take them in as I needed them. As you can see here, there's a little bit of extra room around my knees and we fixed that before we sewed it. This was really good because we could make sure that the tail fit before we sewed it together so that we didn't have to sew it all together and then take out a whole bunch of stitching because it didn't fit. So we could make sure it fit before we sewed it together. So I'm not a bad seamstress, but with this particular fabric, since it was so thick, I was having some trouble working with it. So I got my grandma to help me because she is an amazing seamstress. So we were using her old Singer sewing machine, which, even though it's old, sews amazing. All we had to do was increase the pressure on the pressure foot so the fabric would feed through it better. But other than that, it worked really well. So here's a little video of my grandma sewing. After everything was all sewn together, I cut out the shape of the bottom of the fin and tried the tail on. As you can see, there's a little bit of bulk around my knees and around my ankles, and we did fix this after. But other than that, it was super, super comfortable, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. So like I said, I also made a top out of the neoprene so that I have one that matches my tail after I paint it. So this is the front. I kind of modeled it after one of my sports bras, and this fit really nicely after I sewed it together. And this is the back of the top that I made. So here's a picture of me swimming in the tail. I don't know why my face looks really weird in this picture. It must be some effect of the pool lighting, but it looks like it's been photoshopped on. I promise you it hasn't. But anyways, I tried it on in the pool because I wanted to make sure it fit before I painted it, and I'm really happy I did this because once I got it in the water, I discovered the waist was about 2 inches too wide. So I'm going to take that in, and then I'm going to paint it, and that will be in my next video.